FSU shooter, background and identity revealed, all right? 2 people were killed and 6 others were injured. We talked about this yesterday as a breaking story. We now have more information. One of the classmates actually speaks out. I'm going to give you the background of this in just a moment. Here it is.
So I spent my first 2 years at Tallahassee, now called Tallahassee State College, but we called it TCC. And I was the president of a political talk group we called the Political Roundtable, and he joined the club when I was at TCC. Basically our only rule was no Nazis, colloquially speaking. And he espoused so much white supremacist rhetoric and far right rhetoric as well, to the point where we had to exercise that rule. I also know he was a member of the TCC Turning Point chapter. And since TCC, I have seen him in passing a couple times. Today, I was talking to a friend who had talked to him yesterday, or 2 days ago, pardon me. And he was talking about how he wasn't ready for exams.
Put it up full mass. Here's the background. 2 people were killed. 6 others were injured in a shooting at Florida State University, FSU, yesterday. This is in Tallahassee. Authorities have confirmed. Now, the shooter has been identified as Phoenix Eichner, a 20-year-old with white supremacist views, according to those who knew him. As you can see, Eichner was taken to an area hospital after being neutralized by authorities. Police also said his mother is a sheriff's deputy with the Leon County Sheriff's Office and said Eichner used his mother's weapon in the killing. The suspect's adopted mother, Jessica Eichner, has been an officer for 18 years. Quote, her service to this community has been exceptional, Leon County Sheriff Walt McNeil said at a press conference. Unfortunately, her son had access to one of her weapons, and that was one of the weapons that was found at the scene. And we are continuing that investigation into how that weapon was used. Officer Jessica Eichner had adopted Phoenix Eichner's biological mom allegedly kidnapped and fled to Norway amid a custody battle years before the deadly shooting. We don't have a lot of information about that. The mom didn't return to the U.S. until July 27, 2015, when she was then arrested at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport. She later pleaded no contest to illegally removing a child from Florida. Months later, in October 2015, Erickson filed a lawsuit alleging slander and libel against Christopher Eichner, his wife, Jessica Eichner, as well as 2 other relatives. Quote, the emotional and psychological harm done to the minor child will be evident for years and will require counseling. And given the child being the age of 11, will have memory impacted by the behaviors of all the defendants for the false claims done to his mother and for the parental alienation of the close relationship of the minor child, this suit stated. Erickson sought $80,000 in damages to use towards the child's college fund. So Christian Gunnar Erickson changed his name to Phoenix Eichner in 2020, okay? Investigators on the shooting have not yet revealed a motive or the identities of those killed. And likely that's because all parents have not been notified that happens. The 2 people who were killed were not FSU students, according to authorities. Officials believe that the suspect did, in fact, act alone. It's very sad. Everyone's life turned upside down. You have 2 individuals dead. You have others that are wounded, some seriously so. You have parents who obviously had to endure this while it was happening. If you had a kid at FSU, you got no sleep until you knew your child was safe. You then have this background that includes foster care, that includes lawsuits, that includes emotional trauma to an 11-year-old. On record. We have this on record. Then on record, you have this permeation of white supremacy from a college student who joined a group whose basic rule was you can say whatever you want to say, you can have whatever view you choose to have, except for being a Nazi, white supremacist. And one of the rare times this college group had to use that rule to excommunicate someone was with this same individual. While we don't know the exact motive, and the reality is we may never know the exact motive, we do know motivational factors of anger, hate, bigotry, isolation, alienation. We know this is present. It doesn't excuse what the individual has done, nor does it remedy where we are in this societal context. This should be a wake-up call to the politicians who push for a gun culture every day. They somehow believe having access to more guns creates access to more safety, even though the evidence is contrary to that notion. And we are here again. See, this is a cycle. It is a pattern. We're going to continue to be here, unfortunately, until we stop being not only stubborn, but willfully ignorant to the reality of bigotry, hate, guns in our culture. And until we tackle those things, we are going to have these stories every year. My heart and prayers go out to the family of those who have been injured, to the injured, and to those who have died, to their families. Positive vibes to you, all right? Okay, we'll bring you updates as they come.